In 1799, deep in the frozen wilderness of Siberia, an Evenki hunter named Osip Shumachov was tracking mammoth tusks when he stumbled upon something that sent a chill down his spine. Trapped inside a melting wall of permafrost for tens of thousands of years was a colossal beast. As the ice slowly thawed, what emerged was not a pile of dry bones, but an almost perfectly preserved woolly mammoth. Its skin was still supple, its reddish-brown fur gleamed in the weak Arctic sun, and its flesh was so fresh that wolves were said to have feasted on it. Thousands of years earlier, this giant had roamed the icy grasslands. How did it die? Why was its body preserved so perfectly that scientists later called it time frozen in ice? And most astonishing of all, what secrets still lie buried deep within the permafrost, waiting to be awakened? Dare you find out?
Just over a century after the Adams mammoth was first sighted, another extraordinary discovery took place in 1900 along the banks of the Berezovka River in remote eastern Siberia. A group of local hunters noticed their dogs reacting strangely to a strong odor coming from a steep riverbank where the permafrost had begun to thaw. What they found was the frozen carcass of a massive adult male woolly mammoth, so remarkably well preserved that its dark reddish-brown fur, thick skin, and even some internal organs remained almost intact. In 1901, a scientific expedition led by Russian zoologist Eugene Weizenmeier carefully excavated the specimen under extremely difficult Arctic conditions. The team was astonished to discover fresh buttercups and grasses still clenched in the mammoth's mouth and undigested vegetation in its stomach, suggesting the animal had died suddenly while feeding. This near-complete carcass, which became famously known as the Berezovka Mammoth, earned its name simply because it was discovered on the banks of the Berezovka River.
The remarkable state of preservation provided scientists with unprecedented insights into the anatomy, diet, and appearance of woolly mammoths, helping to establish a much clearer scientific understanding of Mammuthus primigenius, and proving that these creatures were not mythical beasts, but real animals that had roamed the frozen steppes until relatively recent times. The specimen earned its official name, the Berezovka Mammoth, for the simple yet scientifically precise reason that it was discovered on the steep banks of the Berezovka River in the Kolyma region of eastern Siberia in 1900. Following standard paleontological practice, extinct animals are frequently named after the geographic location of their most significant discovery. What made this particular mammoth scientifically groundbreaking was not just its exceptional preservation, with fur, skin, and soft tissues still intact, but the fact that it contained fresh vegetation, including buttercups and grasses, still in its mouth and stomach. This allowed scientists, for the first time, to directly reconstruct the exact diet and season of death, midsummer, of a woolly mammoth that lived approximately 39,000 years ago, providing an unprecedented snapshot of the Mammoth Steppe ecosystem during the late Pleistocene.
Although the woolly mammoth, Mammuthus primigenius, and the Asian elephant, Elephas maximus, share an extraordinarily high degree of genetic similarity, approximately 99.6% of their nuclear DNA, the relatively small 0.4% difference represents a series of highly targeted evolutionary changes that allowed the mammoth to thrive in the extreme cold of the Pleistocene Ice Age, while its closest living relative remained adapted to warm, tropical, and subtropical environments. Scientists have sequenced multiple high-quality mammoth genomes from permafrost-preserved specimens and compared them directly with Asian elephant genomes, revealing that most of these critical differences are concentrated in a surprisingly small set of key genes. For example, mutations in the hemoglobin genes, particularly in the beta and delta globin chains, enable mammoth blood to release oxygen more efficiently at sub-zero temperatures, preventing the rapid heat loss that would occur in an Asian elephant under the same conditions.
Another pivotal gene, TRPV3, which regulates temperature sensation and fat metabolism, carries specific amino acid changes in the mammoth that reduce sensitivity to cold and promote the growth of thick, insulating fat layers and long, woolly fur. Additional alterations in genes such as FGF5 produce the characteristic double-layered coat that can reach nearly 1 meter in length, while changes in lipid metabolism genes allow the mammoth to store thick subcutaneous fat reserves up to 8–10 centimeters in places, creating a natural thermal blanket. Genes controlling ear and tail development are also modified, resulting in the much smaller ears and shorter tail seen in mammoths, which minimize heat loss through exposed surfaces. These genetic adaptations illustrate a remarkable case of rapid adaptive evolution. In just a few 100,000 years, a relatively small number of precise tweaks transformed an Asian elephant-like ancestor into a specialized Arctic giant, perfectly suited to the mammoth steppe. This close genetic relationship,
The woolly mammoth possessed an extraordinary set of biological adaptations that set it apart from modern elephants, transforming it into one of the most specialized large mammals ever to walk the earth. Unlike the nearly hairless skin of today's Asian and African elephants, the mammoth was covered in a thick, double-layered coat consisting of long outer guard hairs up to 1 meter in length and a dense, fine underwool, providing exceptional insulation against temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius. It also developed a thick subcutaneous fat layer of 8 to 10 centimeters, especially concentrated across the shoulders and back to form a distinctive fatty hump that served as both thermal protection and an energy reserve during harsh winters. Its ears were dramatically smaller, only about 38 centimeters long, and its tail much shorter than those of modern elephants, dramatically reducing heat loss through exposed surfaces.
The mammoth's impressive, heavily curved tusks, reaching up to 4.5 meters in length and present in both sexes, functioned as powerful snowplows to dig through deep snow in search of vegetation. While similar in overall body mass to large African bulls, standing 2.8 to 3.5 meters at the shoulder, the mammoth had a higher shoulder hump and a sloping back, giving it a distinctive silhouette perfectly suited for life on the open, windswept Mammoth Steppe. These remarkable features, finely tuned by evolution, allowed the woolly mammoth to thrive across vast northern landscapes, where modern elephants, with their large ears for cooling and minimal body hair, would quickly perish in the freezing cold. The world of the woolly mammoth was dominated by a vast and remarkably productive ecosystem known as the Mammoth Steppe, a cold, dry grassland that stretched across northern Europe, Siberia, Beringia, and parts of North America during the late Pleistocene. Far from the barren, waterlogged tundra we see in the Arctic today, the Mammoth Steppe was a highly fertile Arctic savanna, teeming with nutrient-rich grasses, herbs, and flowering plants. Direct evidence from exceptionally preserved carcasses confirms this. The famous Berezovka mammoth, discovered in 1901, had its mouth and stomach filled with fresh buttercups, grasses, and sedges, proving it had been feeding on lush summer vegetation just before it died. Similarly, the younger specimens Lyuba and Yucca revealed a diverse diet of high-quality forage, including willow leaves and various herbs.
As a true keystone species, woolly mammoths played a critical role in maintaining this ecosystem. Their massive herds trampled shrubs and young trees,
preventing forests from encroaching and keeping the landscape open. They spread seeds through their dung, fertilized the soil with enormous quantities of nutrient-rich waste, and dug through snow and soil in search of food, creating microhabitats for smaller animals. When the mammoths disappeared around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, the dynamic Mammoth Steppe rapidly transformed into the low-productivity, mossy tundra we know today, dramatic proof of just how essential these giants were to sustaining one of the richest Ice Age ecosystems on Earth. Woolly mammoths lived in complex, highly organized societies, remarkably similar to those of modern elephants. They formed stable, matriarchal herds led by experienced older females who guided the group's movements, foraging strategies, and protection of the young. Adult males typically left the family herd around 12 to 14 years of age and lived either alone or in small bachelor groups. During musth, an annual period of heightened testosterone levels, mature bulls became extremely aggressive and competitive for mating rights, a behavior dramatically confirmed in 2023 when scientists analyzed growth rings in a 34,000-year-old male mammoth tusk and discovered testosterone levels spiking up to 10 times higher than normal. Perhaps most astonishing is that each mammoth tusk functioned as a lifelong biological diary. By studying annual growth layers, isotopes, and hormone residues preserved within the ivory, researchers can reconstruct an individual's age, seasonal migrations, periods of stress, pregnancies, must cycles, and even long-distance journeys spanning hundreds of kilometers. Their diet consisted mainly of nutrient-rich grasses, sedges, herbs, and flowering plants such as buttercups, supplemented by willow leaves and shrubs. Stomach contents from exceptionally preserved specimens, like the Berezovka mammoth and the baby luba, revealed that they consumed up to 200 to 300 kilograms of fresh vegetation daily. Overall, woolly mammoths exhibited sophisticated social behaviors, communicating through low-frequency rumbles, caring cooperatively for calves, and using their long, curved tusks not only for digging through snow, but also for social display and combat, painting a picture of intelligent, emotionally rich giants perfectly adapted to the challenges of Ice Age life. The disappearance of the woolly mammoth was part of the larger quaternary extinction event, a massive die-off that wiped out more than 35 genera of large mammals across the northern hemisphere between 12,000 and 10,000 years ago. In the video, two main explanations are presented: climate change and human hunting, known as the overkill hypothesis. The climate change theory argues that the rapid warming at the end of the last ice age transformed the rich, dry Mammoth Steppe into wet, mossy tundra, causing a collapse in the high-quality vegetation the mammoths depended on. Meanwhile, the overkill hypothesis suggests that skilled human hunters, arriving with advanced stone weapons, rapidly hunted the mammoths to extinction, especially in North America, where Clovis spear points have been found directly associated with mammoth bones at multiple kill sites. Many people strongly debate these ideas. Some claim that the flash-frozen mammoths prove a sudden global catastrophe, while others argue that humans could not possibly have killed every mammoth. Current scientific consensus, however, supports a combined explanation. Climate change dramatically reduced mammoth populations and fragmented their habitat first, making them extremely vulnerable, after which human hunting delivered the final blow in many regions. The last known population survived on Wrangel Island until around 4,000 years ago, long after humans had arrived, further showing that climate was the dominant long-term driver. Ultimately, the extinction of the woolly mammoth was not caused by a single factor,
but by the dangerous interaction between a rapidly changing climate and increasing human pressure, resulting in the permanent loss of the once vibrant Mammoth Steppe ecosystem.
In the final chapter of the story, scientists are no longer just studying the woolly mammoth. They are attempting to bring it back. Companies like Colossal Biosciences, co-founded by entrepreneur Ben Lamb and geneticist George Church, are using cutting-edge CRISPR gene editing technology to resurrect key mammoth traits. By inserting approximately 65 to 85 critical genes from the woolly mammoth into the genome of the Asian elephant, its closest living relative, researchers hope to create a cold-adapted hybrid, often called a mammophant. These animals would possess thick woolly fur, a layer of insulating fat, smaller ears, and cold-resistant hemoglobin. The ambitious goal is to produce the first mammoth-like calves by 2028. Many viewers in the comments expressed excitement and hope, asking when they would finally see living woolly mammoths roaming the tundra again. However, this de-extinction effort also raises profound ethical questions. Should humans resurrect an extinct species? Will these hybrid animals suffer in today's world? What ecological impact will they have if released into the wild? Proponents argue that bringing back mammoth-like elephants could help restore the Arctic grassland ecosystem, slow permafrost thaw, and combat climate change. Whether this bold scientific dream becomes reality or remains a futuristic vision, one thing is certain. The woolly mammoth's legacy continues to shape our understanding of extinction, resilience, and humanity's growing power to rewrite the story of life on Earth.